The DA may not have known about the discrepancies because things happen so fast, they got so many cases. And if the cops aren't in the room in the grand jury to say, oh, wait, that was different. So there's actually kind of a knowledge information gap in the grand jury process due to the speed of getting indictments when someone is in custody, right? So, I mean, it's a broken system, and it's our job as advocates to alert them of it.
I was going to say, like, that's why it's so important for like people to have a defense lawyer who's going to look into every claim. Because as you said, I mean, there are a lot of prosecutors who are acting in completely good faith who, you know, either they miss something or they don't even have access to the police interview. You know, they go and get the indictment. Just getting an indictment isn't the same thing as convicting somebody, so it's a much lower standard of proof. It's not always malice. Sometimes it's just, you know, accidents happen. Sometimes it's incompetence. Sometimes it's a small mistake. Sometimes it's just not having information at the same time. But you can imagine it could lead to nightmarish, horrible situations when it's not corrected.
Then we're stuck with the question of, do we let the DA know that there's this gaping hole in their case? So now you got to know the personality of the DA. Are they a truth seeker, or are they a true believer that is just going to say, well, one of the symptoms of child sex abuse is they'll change their story over and over again. Or one of the symptoms of having PTSD is your story changes for an adult victim. Right? People believe that.
Or if they're even worse and they don't care whether somebody's innocent or guilty, they want a conviction for the sake of their career.
I always give them the benefit of the doubt, and I think that they're just not critical thinkers, and that their brain just has a problem of playing devil's advocate, you know, that they trusting, you know, they got this paradigm.
Especially if they hear one story first, if they only talk.
Primacy versus recency. So it's confirmation bias, and it takes a deliberate, active mind to model the other side. Some people don't model minds very well. They're just not good at that, right? They have no theory of mind. Like maybe they lack empathy themselves. And, you know, imagine the worst sort of client you've ever seen, the worst sort of perpetrator you've ever seen, and assume they go to law school and become a family law lawyer and deal with child custody cases. You think those people are on the right side of the case? Well, we have opposition attorneys all the time in the civil realm. We clearly think that the case is an utter loser, and then we go annihilate them at trial, and it's like they didn't ever know. And you try to settle it, and you're like, why do you believe this? Like, are you not a reasonable person? And I feel that same way with DAs too. Like, I don't mispredict trial outcomes. If I say there's 8 times out of 10 we're gonna win this case, I've yet to see a case get lost. If I say, look, this case, you know, have to be a miracle, and if we won those cases, it's because the miracle happened at trial unexpectedly that we foresee as a possibility but not a likelihood. So why are those people trying cases and we get a 14-minute not guilty verdict or a 24-minute not guilty verdict? Like, what are we doing wrong that we can't convince these DAs to dismiss the case? Well, sometimes we haven't attempted to convince them because we didn't believe they would if we told them. So we've held back our punches, rope-a-doped it, and then once they get worn out, usually after their opening statement and the fireworks begin and cross, you'd think they'd get it. Like, if I got a beating like some of the beatings we put down in cases, I'd be like, Your Honor, may I have a moment? I'd go talk to my cop and be like, I don't think I can good faith can do this case anymore. This person is a fucking liar. And I would move to dismiss the case rather than put this jury through days of watching the whooping. And it's painful for everybody involved. Like, if you know you're gonna lose, like, why put a victim through that? Be honest with them.
Yeah,